Just again, to set the scene, some of the biographical milestones of the early years of Neziv, and when and how did Neziv become head of the yeshiva in Volozhin?
Sure. So the Neziv was born in 1816. It's often, if you look it up, it says 1817, but it's a confusion around the Hebrew dates and the secular dates. So it was November 20th, 1816. And he's born to a fairly prominent family in the city of Mir, a small, shtetl in what is today Belarus. His family both has rabbinic roots to it. His mother comes from the Eisenstadt family, which is a well-known rabbinic family, traces its roots back to Rav Meir Eisenstadt, who was the author of the Panim Me'iros, and others along the way. His father was a successful merchant, so he really brought the two worlds of both financial success and Torah learning together. And that's probably most obvious in the fact that his kids are, have very good shidduchim made for them. And Neziv is not the only one, but his sister famously gets married to Yechiel Michal Levi Epstein, who's the author of the Aruch HaShulchan. But the young Naftali is, he's born and raised in Mir. He's educated there. We don't know much about his education. We assume he learned with his father. We assume that maybe the rabbis of the town, which also kind of related to the Eisenstadt family, were involved in his early education. But what we know is that at the age of 14, a marriage is arranged for him to the daughter of Rav Itzela of Volozhin. Rav Itzela of Volozhin is the son of Rav Chaim of Volozhin, who takes over for Rav Chaim of Volozhin as the Rosh Yeshiva in the Ades Chaim Yeshiva in Volozhin. So she is 13, he is 14 when this marriage is arranged, and he leaves home in order to marry her and then become a student in the yeshiva. In terms of where and how things proceed from there, there's kind of the lore, and then there's what we know in terms of the actual facts. The lore, and I always hate saying this publicly because there are so many good and important messages that are often conveyed when people give over the story of the Neziv as having been, quote unquote, as of average intelligence, and someone who's sort of climbed his way to the top through tremendous hasmada and work, and and there's a variety of stories that are told around this theme. I hesitate because I think all the messages are really good and important. As an educator, I want to give them over to my own students. I just don't think they're true when it comes to the Neziv. And the reasons I don't think they're true is, there are a number of them. But first of all, a young boy of average intelligence, a shlemazel, would not have a marriage arranged for him, at the age of 14 to the daughter of Rav Itzela of Volozhin. Case closed. It wouldn't happen. He would not marry off his daughter to somebody who didn't have tremendous potential as a Talmid Chacham. But beyond that, we actually have a pretty reliable account. A man by the name of Max Lilienthal, who is a Western German Jew who is in Russia, who begins actually to work for the Russian government in trying to further Russify or modernize the Jewish community in Russia. It's a mission he has that he fails terribly at, and actually has to leave Russia and comes to Cincinnati here in the States. And actually, once he does, he publishes a travel account of his travel through the Perl settlement and the various communities that he visited. And in that is an account of him coming to Volozhin. And he relates that in 1841, he comes to Volozhin, and Rav Itzela is an old man at the time, and he notes that Rav Itzela has him take, that it's a young man named Hirschleib, his son-in-law. Hirschleib is obviously Yiddish for Naftali, who is assigned the duty of taking taking Maximilian all around, and he's referred to as one of the greatest Talmudists in all of Russia at the age of 1841. And we also know, it notes in that same account that he's already been appointed to give shiurim in Volozhin already, and he's 25 years old. Right? So either he went from being a shlemazel at the age of 13 and 14, and over the course of 10 years has had this incredible epiphany, and is now at the age of 25 one of the greatest Talmudists in all of Russia, or there was something there all along, but that wasn't possibly recognized by all or understood by all. But we know by 1841 he's already giving shiurim in Volozhin. Ravitz dies in 1849, and it's actually his older son-in-law, Rabbi Eliezer Yitzchak Fried, who is appointed to replace him as the Rosh Yeshiva. He passes away rather young, only 4 years later, and so in 1853, at the age of 36, the Neziv was appointed Rosh Yeshiva of Volozhin. And as many people know, that his appointment wasn't uncontested. There were actually 2 attempts to contest his appointment. One by Rav Yosef Ber Soloveitchik, probably the most famous. Rav Yosef Ber was initially appointed to be his number 2 in command. The other by Yehoshua Heschel Levin, both of whom have direct family links to Reb Chaim of Volozhin. The Neziv has married into the family. The other 2 had direct family links. Each time a kind of a Beis Din was assembled to try and determine whether there was any legitimacy to the claim, and in both accounts, the Neziv, his stake and his claim to being the Rosh Yeshiva was just solidified. And so from 1853 until 1891, he is the Rosh Yeshiva of the largest yeshiva in the world. This is the Volozhin at its height during the years that he is its Rosh Yeshiva. He doesn't travel very much. He doesn't leave. He doesn't go very far. He goes to Vilna on occasion. But in 1891, he's actually forced to close the yeshiva. He's also very sick. In 1892, he traveled to Warsaw to get medical treatment, and then in 1893 he passes away there in Warsaw. So those are kind of the major points in his kind of life story.